This is behind the scenes for building the set of Starlo von Sourdough's home. Today I'm going to go over three things in building Starlo von Sourdough's home. There's the stairs, the colors, and building the outside part of Starlo's home. And just as a reminder, I'm not an expert at anything. I'm never built anything like this to this scale before. I've done little things here and there, but I really had to depend on people who are experts. There's no way I could have pulled off this 30-minute stop motion animation episode without being a bit of a knowledge vampire. Okay, so the stairs were interesting because I always thought that was one of the scariest things to ever build. And while it actually wasn't as hard as I anticipated. It was more backbreaking than anything else. So the kind of key for these stairs was that I had to be able to have Starlo fall down the stairs and be able to hold these positions while he's falling down and make it look natural, not show any rigging if we were going to be able to have the rigging in there. Hiding the shadows. There's all these sort of things that can screw it up. So that was one thing. The other thing was that I needed to be able to hide this secret hole on the side. This whole bottom area is going to be filled with sand, which one of the cats used as their personal bathroom.
Seriously, dude? What are you doing? What are you doing on my set? Okay, so here we are. We are working on building on the stairs for the set. So sort of like the guideline here, I guess, that we're using is looking at just the figure's foot. So Starlo is at 1/6 scale. Usually that means like 2 inches, but we're pretty much looking at his feet. That's kind of a good guide. I figure it's about 2 inches. Okay, so this is what it looks like when I don't have anything there. I just kind of put up this side wall, this back wall thing.
I wouldn't have been able to do these stairs as easily without some help. And I think one of the things, key people I haven't mentioned yet, is Ben Crawford. Amazing architect. And like what he's actually doing is pretty mind-blowing. And so to get his sort of expertise on things was huge. One of those was like tools. I'd still be cutting away with a Western saw without his help. But one of the things he showed me was like, the Japanese saw is so easy to use. It's very precise, much more than a Western saw. And it's easier to use because you start cutting on a pull as opposed to a push. And it's just how our muscles are built. It just feels like less force you need to apply or less energy you need to use when you're using a Japanese saw. So that was critical. My experience with using foam core has been great and terrible. So on the positive side, it's like really easy to cut. You can make your lines and you don't need a whole lot of tools, and it doesn't make a lot of sounds when you need to cut it. Well, on the downside of it is that when you paint it, it starts to warp over a period of time. And that creates these non-90 degree angled problems. For example, so when the walls sort of sync up, they should be at like 90 degrees, right? They should be flush. But mine weren't because they started to warp and bend. And then light would leak through. So I was constantly needed to find ways to be able to light the rooms appropriately and make it look sort of natural without screwing up the other rooms because light would be leaking through. Okay, so Peter Lau is one of these super humble, quiet geniuses who I've had the pleasure of working with before. And Peter is like amazing graphic design, and we play a lot of video games together. He's a really good player. So Peter really helped me get a lot of the color and nail it down quick right in the beginning. So he made these sort of like color options for me. So things that go together, because I want to make sure the colors matched each other. He sees this sort of like theme coming through, and so he was trying to choose things also and examples that were sort of matched along with my eye. And that's how we got to these colors. So we kind of just kept using them and using them. Then we'd go outside to look at it because the colors change dramatically from outside to inside. One of the things kind of learned, so that middle room, when we first did it, we chose a green color, but it made me feel kind of sick. And then I put, like, oh, we'll make it look organic. We'll put some green grass on the ground, which didn't work for a variety of reasons, but it didn't feel right. I wanted people to feel like they could eat the room. I think the more like it's like a candy or a flavor of something you want to bite into, something kind of carnal like that, it's more attractive. So that's how it kind of landed back on this orange. So when we go through the rooms, it feels like this warm, inviting, yum, yum, yum place you want to be in and experience. And it was something that was conscious. We didn't want to show all of the rooms in the beginning of the film because of the influence I think Wizard of Oz had on me. I really liked how in the Wizard of Oz it starts off with this sort of sepia, black and white, whatever you want to call it. And then when it gets over into the world of Oz, it was just beautiful to see that color transition. So in the beginning of the film, I try not to use a lot of color, especially on the top, because I didn't want to spoil or get people too habituated to color. Color was a really important use in the film for a variety of reasons, but everything sort of had a purpose.
Here's my second assistant. Yep. There's first assistant. Orbit. Yeah. And we're going to just be... What? We're just going to be painting just this section in here. Not all of it, but we're going to use a sponge brush.
Okay, so, you have all these great ideas, all these wonderful things, and it all comes down to that execution, right? So luckily, foam board was extremely valuable because I had to do this front a couple different times because things didn't look totally right, but it was mostly on the window size and how the camera was going to line up with the shots. And so there was a small little adjustment, but after that, it wasn't so bad. I didn't need to actually finish off the whole front, with all the little pebbles and stones and super trim. Most of the trim was really just using this material called pulp board, and you can just get a little wet and it's like wood. And so I just cut out a bunch of these little things, these almost like lines to make it look like it's like they're wood boards. And that really helped make just the perfect minimal amount of detail I needed in order to make that sort of come to life. The other thing was, using these plastic sheets in order to make the window feel like it's cracking when Starlo hits his golf ball through it. So it was just really helpful to keep things simple. I'd love to say I was smart enough to, have everything planned and figured out, but I didn't. There's just way too many things to figure out, and it makes you kind of sick when you have to think about all those things at once. Next time on Behind the Scenes, we will go over the birth of Venus scene, which was one of the hardest scenes of my life. And everything I was going to do in the film, I had to be able to do in the birth of Venus scene. I wasn't an expert when I made greens, and hopefully you can learn from my failure to make your project a success. So please hit that subscribe button and feel free to comment, ask questions, and I will tailor these videos to whatever you're interested in learning more about. Thanks again for commenting. I appreciate you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Thanks again. Bye.